Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Carey Davis. Another episode, Stop Complaining, Work Harder. Now, this is the show where we talk about things managers can do, helpful hints that I learned over my 33 years in government, 25 of which as a manager at all levels, from a trainee to a senior executive with the U.S. government. And today I'm going to talk about time management. But before we do any of that, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe for me. I'm going to make a whole series of these things. We've got some guests lined up to do interviews with. You're going to enjoy this. If you're a supervisor in government or the private sector, anywhere in the world, you might get something out of this. It's a lot about people skills, a lot about having conversations, a lot about saying the things that you need to hear or you need to understand that you're never going to learn in school or with any kind of training. You can be trained out the wazoo. It will not prepare you for one day of real life management and having to deal with other human beings. So let's talk about time management. Oh, before we go any further, stay tuned. Keep with us till the end of the show. I got another great episode of Bullshit Bingo. We're going to play Bullshit Bingo Roulette, as we're wont to do when we do Stop Complaining, Work Harder. And that means of the 7 pages of Bullshit Bingo words I wrote down in U.S. government meetings during the 3 years of COVID, I'm just going to pick a page, close my eyes, let my finger land on the page, whatever word it hits, that's what we're going to talk about off the cuff. You're going to love it. So, time management. If I was to guess, I would say that 99% of all the managers and supervisors under the GS-15 level do not manage their time well. You just don't. And the reason I say under the GS-15 level is usually by the time you become a GS-15, you lose control over your own schedule. Meetings are set for you. Rarely can you say, you know what, Tuesday at 2, let's talk about that. It's not an honest or often done thing. So once you get to that level, generally you may or may not have an administrative assistant. One way or the other, your boss does, someone will, and they are going to say, hey, today at 3, you've got a meeting with so-and-so. You need to know A, B, and C. You're going to look at your calendar on your phone every day or your computer, and you're going to say, I don't remember this meeting. Well, it's been on the schedule for 3 weeks. Or, boy, it was a last-minute thing, but they just had to talk to you today. And that's how life works. The higher up you go, the less control you have over your own schedule. All you senior executives that I know watch this show religiously, tell me I'm wrong, but I bet you won't, because every one of you knows that you don't have true control over your own schedule. You may say, hey, let's have a meeting about that, and then someone else picks the dates and times when you're free and arranges that meeting. Rarely is it. Usually it's if you're very pissed off or concerned about something, you'll say, I want to talk about that this afternoon. Get some people on the phone. But it's rare, extremely rare. The point is, at that level, you don't make your own schedule, but yet time management, usually by the time you've gotten to that level, time management is such a normal thing for you that you quit thinking about it. You're just doing it all the time. You're always managing. You're always figuring out, or you have people that manage your time for you. Most of the time, that's true. So, but, a lot of supervision starts at the GS-12 level. Hell, my first supervisory job, I was a GS-11. But generally 13s and 14s are the sweet spot for first-line supervisors, depending on which agency you work for and what the journeyman level is. And almost universally in government, you haven't been trained even a little bit. If you have, it probably wasn't proper training. There's a few really great programs out there, but not many. And certainly not many tailored for general management. How to be a supervisor, manager, a leader. There's leadership courses, there's management courses, supervision courses, but none of them are great, at least in the civil service. I know the military has some fantastic ones, but those don't bleed into the civilian world very well. And I bet all the senior military officers that get to go to the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard and other places will come back and tell you that, the leadership isn't there. I personally went to a program at the University of Chicago, Booth School of Business, and When I came back, compared notes with all my friends that went to the Kennedy School, and then I went to the Federal Executive Institute, which is no more. But when I went there, I got basically the same exact sort of instruction and coursework. And the big difference was at Booth, we got a lot more Harvard Business Review case studies, which are actually very helpful. If you can read the Harvard Business Review, go through, pick out case studies. It's all about private sector and business, but it really, really, really has some great management and leadership lessons in its pages. That said, 99% of us don't manage our time well. We don't know how. We think we do. We think we got a handle on it. But the moment you go to your boss, and my boss, Steve, when I was an up-and-coming supervisor, taught me this in a very harsh way, and it was the only way he could have, because I was a pig-headed fool, probably like a lot of you are. And that is, I came in and I said, boss, I just didn't have time to get this done. He goes, well, then you're not managing your time well. It's as simple as that. If you have a solid 8 hours of work to do in a day, it's a rare day you can't get everything you need to get done. And if you have to pack more things into that 8-hour period, you can't make more time. Rarely for a supervisor is overtime authorized, but when it is, it's usually a specific task, not part of your assigned duties. So time is finite, but the amount of things you can do in that time are not. Okay? So you have to manage your time and how you do business in that. And I can't tell you how to do that. I can tell you that now is the time to be honest with yourself. If you're a supervisor or manager and you're not being honest with yourself about how you're spending your day, then you will never be truly successful. That's fact. I bet if there's any private sector people that watch this, people, especially self-made people, people in business, entrepreneurs, they will be nodding their head right now. How you spend your day is up to you. Now, in some jobs, like when I was a supervisory immigration inspector, managing the people who stamp your passports when you come back from overseas, there's a set role of things that have to be done every day. And you know what has to be done. You walk and you say, okay, I'm going to open the safe. I'm going to have the stamps ready. I'm going to make sure that everybody arrived. I'm going to give everybody their assignments of where they're going to be working today. And then I'm going to go talk to the airport and the airlines and make sure that the flights are on time. And if they're not, what are the contingencies? And I'm going to go through this role every day. But it's the time, it's the things that have to be done in between the things you're going to have to do every day. How do you manage them? How do you organize them? How do you make sure that you're doing things in the right order to get done what you need to get done? And when I say you need to be honest with yourself, I mean seriously, and go back, watch the other videos I've made. And then when you go to work, I want you to think to yourself, what am I really doing here? How am I spending my time? Is it wise? Am I doing the right thing all day long? Am I able to get in all the things I need to get done? And then ask yourself this, how much time in a day am I spending scrolling on my phone? Be honest. Be honest. How much time am I playing video games? And here's the judge of it. Do you catch yourself scrolling on your phone when there's nothing else going on, when you've got downtime? You're wasting your time. If you have downtime, you're wasting your time. There is no such thing. There is no such thing. If you're a supervisor or a manager, particularly a first-line supervisor or manager, there is no such thing as downtime. There is something else you can be doing. There is some other way you can add value to your operation. Second lines and third line supervisor, depending on how big your organization is. When I worked for CBP, I was a fifth line supervisor as a port director. So all kinds of different levels. When I worked for DOT, we had first lines, second lines, and then me. But second lines and third lines, your line of business gets a little more vague, and you go from running an operation to meetings, to making strategic decisions instead of tactical decisions. We had that conversation in the past. to looking at the big picture, looking forward, this kind of thing, and trying to manage the group as a whole instead of trying to make sure the sails are all trimmed to the right setting so that you can get the optimal speed. It's a very different world, and the second line supervisor takes it the hardest, because the second line supervisor is still kind of in the operation, but they're also above the operation. By the time you're a third line supervisor, you're above the operation. You're dealing with HR issues. You're dealing with policy calls, meetings. You're dealing with headquarters. You're basically doing pure managerial work instead of supervisory work. If you don't know the difference, go back, watch my early videos. I go through those things in great detail. But that said, if you have extra time, you're not managing your time well. And I don't care if you manage your time so well, you got everything done early, and now you have extra time. Now you need to sit down and think, what else can I do to add value? What can I do to make the organization, to make the operation, to do something better? Because if you come in at 8 in the morning and at 4:30 in the afternoon you're exhausted and you got everything done and maybe a little bit more, you managed your time well. If it's 4:30 in the afternoon and you think, wow, I got everything done, but I spent at least an hour and a half twiddling my thumbs. It was great. I got it done early and I was able to relax. You're not managing your time well. Or 4:30 comes and you said, oh my God, I can't get my stuff done. You are certainly not managing your time well. So now I've told you what you're doing. Okay, you're not managing your time well. Okay, that's fine. A lot of people simply cannot manage their time. So how do we fix that? Well, the first thing you can do is make a schedule. Make a schedule for yourself and live by it. Between 1:30 and 2:30, I'm going to be at Terminal B, and I'm going to be talking to these people, and we're going to get A, B, and C done, and we're going to make sure that this task is completed. That task will be completed at 1:30. 1:30 to 1:45, I'll be walking back to Terminal A, and then I'm going to deal at 2 o'clock, I'm going to deal with these people, and so on and so forth, and write your day out. And you may get in front of schedule, you may get behind schedule, but you know what your schedule is. And essentially, your schedule becomes a checklist. Now, that same boss I had, Steve, great guy, he introduced me to the notion of a checklist back in the 90s. When you have a complex operation, use a checklist. Sit down, take a day out, get your colleagues together, and say, what are all the steps we have to do to make sure the day is complete, that every part of our job is done? What are the steps we have to do? Write them down. And then put them in order. And make a checklist. If I do A, B, C, D, E, and F in my 8 hours, I've done my job today. If I can get more done than that, hooray for me. But write the checklist down. I have to do these things. And then make 100 copies. And keep one on your desk. And every morning when you come in, put the checklist on a clipboard and carry a clipboard around. Or have your notebook with you. I used to have, I called it my Bible. A little spiral bound notebook, sort of half size, college ruled notebook like this. Maybe a little bit smaller. And have your checklist in there. And every day you open it up and boom, 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 boom. The other things you can do with the checklist, you can save it. You can use it as your contemporaneous notes for the day. And you can write things on it. I saw Jimmy doing something stupid today. I corrected Jimmy for doing something stupid today. I counseled Jimmy for the stupid things he did today. Marvin yelled and screamed at me today. Lucy did an outstanding job today. Whatever you want to write on there. And then date it. Put your initials on it. Sign it. Who cares? Keep it. Keep it, because 6 months from now when someone says, oh, bad Mr. Supervisor did all these evil things to me on March 31st, 2 years ago, you can say, bada bing, here's my checklist and notes. I made no note of such thing. What do you think happened? Here's where I made a note that you weren't doing your job well. Right under the part where I checked off C when I was checking up, because C was to check up on you. Isn't that something? See how contemporaneous notes flow into something else that's useful. So you make a checklist so you know what your basic job is every day. And then there's going to be interjections. And what's an interjection? It's the extra things that pop up. Emergencies that happen. I was working when I was a port director of Atlanta once. We had a power failure right in the middle of the busiest part of the day. 20,000 people standing in the terminals, and power goes black. Can't process people, can't let people in the country, can't sit there and do nothing. No daylight inside the terminals. How do you keep the world from panicking and turning into a circus? Well, my team did, and they did an outstanding job. But that's where things like reporting situations to Washington to feed the beast and keep them happy comes in, and making sure that the regular things we do, checklists for emergencies that we have, all of these things have to be managed and put down. And when you have a good supervisory staff, which means if you're the big boss, you've made sure that they've trained, developed these solution sets, and implement them in the right way. Okay, so that is what you're doing. So if you're a first or second line supervisor, you're implementing those procedures. If you're higher than that, you're making sure that the procedures and policies you've put in place are being implemented, and doing the reporting up the stream. And every agency is different, every job is different, and in your job, you may never face an emergency. You may never have a work time emergency like that you have to deal with, but you do have a set sort of group of things or flow of things you have to do every day. Write them down. Make a checklist. Use the checklist as your daily notes. Okay? And in that, once you've done these things, the first thing is to be honest. Let's go back over it. First thing, be honest with yourself about how you spend your time. That's the most important thing you can do about anything you do as a manager, but particularly about time usage. Be honest with yourself. Tell yourself, how am I spending my time? Is it right? Then make a checklist of all the things you have to do in a day. Your regular standard day. What are all the things you do? Follow the checklist. Note when you do something extra on the checklist. And then, something I did a long time ago, that after my old boss Steve pushed me enough, that I think really helped, is you need to do a self-analysis. And you can do a self-analysis by going back and looking through the notes on your checklist. But you're rarely honest with you're truly rarely honest with yourself. It takes a lot of fortitude to be honest with yourself. I don't know a better way to describe it, but you really have to step back and take an honest look at yourself. And most people lie to themselves every day. It's real hard to get around. You have to pull the will from inside to be honest with yourself. But you can go back and you can look at what you've written down, or you can make an effort during a week. Take a week out and then write down everything you do. Not the checklist. Literally write down everything you do. If there was a decision you made, write down why you made the decision. Keep a journal, a notebook as it were. And then go back and study it. Why did I make this decision? How much time did I spend doing this task? Excuse me. How was I taken off my path? Did I get everything done? Why didn't I get everything done? What happened that put me back? Did I catch up on work that I fell behind on? How did I spend my time? And analyze it. And then once every 3 or 4 months, do that again. But be honest with yourself. I know it's not easy. It's one of the most difficult things you will ever do, is being honest with yourself. But if you can do that, and you can be self-aware and analyze and write down what you're doing, and then go back and read it. Read it after a few days, maybe a week, another week has passed, and then see what you're doing. How am I spending my time? Now, like I said, if you're getting your job done and nothing else, you're not utilizing yourself to your best capacity. I don't care how busy your job is. That's a fact. If you're not getting your job done, if you're falling behind, you need help. And sometimes the best thing to do is just go to your boss and say, boss, I'm not managing my time right. I'm not getting my stuff done. Can you help me? I need your guidance. Maybe you need to have a friend of yours observe how you spend your day. Or an independent third party needs to come and look and see how you're spending your day or your operation. You know, it's interesting. When I got to the upper management level, senior management, I came to believe in internal affairs. So it sounds weird, but it'll be a lesson for everybody. So when you're the port director, when you're the principal, your name's on the door, everyone who's below you focuses on you not as a person, but as a thing. You are the agency. You're the man. You are them. You are them. I'll never forget, I was in the middle of a conversation once with a group of people with CBP, and you know, they were talking to each other. It was some downtime, and said, yeah, we wanted to do this kind of enforcement, but they won't let us. And we wanted to do this kind of enforcement, but they won't let us. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. I said, who is they? And the officer said, what do you mean, who is they? I said, well, I'm the port director. I am they. I make this decision. So you tell me what I'm not letting you do. Oh, well, you know, sir, but that example is there because the fact is that once you become the principal, once you get into that position, people stop seeing you as a human being. You're simply the thing that's either helping them or hurting them, but you're the thing. And I don't know a nice way to put it. You know, and you become human when you're in person, but when you're just out there somewhere, you're the thing. You're the manager. You're the man keeping them down, and it's okay. That's human nature. It is what it is. But you know, so what I learned about internal affairs was because you're the thing, when people have problems, they take their issues out on you because you're the thing. You represent the agency. So when they get pissed at you. And when they get pissed at you, they tend to file complaints either through EEO or HR or whatever. But a lot of times they file their complaints to whatever internal affairs or OIG mechanism you have. And that's okay. That's fine. That's the way it is. But what you do is, when you're the principal, get ahead of it. Call your OIG or your internal affairs or your Office of Professional Responsibility. Call them every Monday. Schedule a call. Okay, and you'll get to know the agent assigned to you. Okay, what complaints came in about me this week? Well, Carey, we had this and this and this and this. Okay, fantastic. How quick can you get down here to investigate them? Well, it's going to be Tuesday at least. That's fine. I'll be waiting on you on Tuesday. I'll get you in the schedule. But bring it forward. Bring it forward and have them come look at you. And you're doing two things. One, you're showing that it's bullshit. You're being attacked because you are the principal. Again, not an uncommon thing. But two, you get to find out how other people view your actions. It's very interesting when you read about other people, how they view your actions. And so one of the common things a lot of agencies do is a 360, where you find 8 or 9 people and they answer a bunch of psychological questions about you. I never found a lot of value in it. I can tell you what I am. I'm a type A extrovert. I don't play games. You know, almost everything about me comes back the same every time. So I just didn't get a lot out of it. Some people do. Some people live and die by that stuff, and that's fine. But if you really want to know how people see your actions, call OIG, call internal affairs, find out who the person is that handles all the complaints about you. And sit down and let them read the complaints to you, or let them forward the complaint, you read it. You'll learn more about you that you could never understand. And so if it's a bullshit allegation, 20% of it's true because it's about what you did that made that person perceive that you did something to them. Somewhere in there, they perceived that you slighted them somehow or you did them wrong. So there's something to be learned in those complaints. Read them. Accept them. It's okay. It's just business. Never forget, like I said in the EEO discussion in the last episode, it's just business. It'll be okay. All right, so that's time management. Remember, be honest with yourself. Take a hard look at how you spend your day and become more efficient. And if you want to talk about it, shoot me a comment. Let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Hey, while we're at it, before we go, I told you, it's bullshit bingo roulette. Now, I've used the hell out of this page, so we're going to flip the page. We got this page. I haven't touched any of these on this page, so wide open. I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to take my little finger, and I'm going to let it drop on a word on the page somewhere. Whatever that word is, that's the bullshit bingo for today's episode. Are you ready? Here we go. Bullshit bingo roulette. Process check. I don't even remember what that the hell is, but it sounds douchey, doesn't it? Process check. What's a process check? Let me check that so I know I've used it before, so I won't use it again. Process check sounds to me like if you have a process that they use at work, you're going to have someone kind of make sure it's acceptable. Or as part of a process, everybody stops and checks on something. But I can visualize in my head times when I've been in meetings and a supervisor would say, you know what, we need a process check on this. And so I don't have a lot to say about this one. I can say it sounds douchey. Why wouldn't we just say, hey, let's check our progress. Let's make sure this is working. Let's make sure this is appropriate. Instead, we're going to have a process check. So let's go back to the standard measure of bullshit, and that is, do you talk to your family that way? Is that how you talk to your family? And it most certainly is not. No one goes home and asks their kids for a process check about their homework. All right, that's it for me. Stay tuned next week. Another episode. Stop complaining. Work harder. This is Carey Davis from the Work Harder Studios. Have a great week. Out.